We're going to discuss Lesson 3 about interaction and estuaries and intertidal zones. First, what is ecosystem? An ecosystem refers to the interaction that exists among organisms and between organisms and their physical environment. The habitat is the place where organisms live when a number of different species live together in a habitat. We call this a biotic community. Ecosystems vary in size, small body of cat with ticks and mites, a big one like a rainforest of the Amazon. And place where these are found, there are different ecosystems composed of biome and biomes composed of the biosphere. The living world is biosphere. Let us discuss further example of ecosystems found in the Philippines. One of these further example of ecosystem found in the Philippines is aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem are the intertidal zones, coral reef, the open sea, estuaries, mangroves, ponds, lake, and rivers. Intertidal zone are regions in the coastal areas that are covered by water at high tide and exposed at low tide. Tide pools form in rock crevices along shoreline and coastal areas, and these are affected by tides. Some water are left in pools and rock spaces during low tide, enabling sea stars, clams, brittle stars, small fishes, and crabs to move about. Animals like barnacles attach themselves on rock surface to remain in place when the tide recedes. Clams dig on the sand and sea anemones close their tentacles. Animals adapt to change in temperature, salt content of water, and sunlight exposure. Next is what are estuaries? A region where the river meets seawater is an estuary. Estuaries are affected by high and low tide. The water varies level of salt content. There may be an intertidal zone with mangroves growing in it. Mangrove swamp, salt marshes, seagrass beds, sand or mudflats are examples of estuaries. The mangrove swamps are found in many coastal shores of the country. In Panay, for example, several mangrove forests include century-old sturdy trees. Mangrove trees are able to live in salty water like Rhizopara, Zoniretia, and Vincinia. And they have special roots such as Praps root, Kilburn roots, knee roots, and flax roots that enable them to survive. Some species even release salt particles in their leaves. Fishes, crabs, snails, oysters, sweetworms, prawn, shrimps are plenty in the mangrove swamps. Several interactions occur in the mangroves. Hermit crab burrow empty shell of snail as a shelter. Milkfish, competing with other species for food, ants make nets in tree trunks, and birds feed on fruits of the trees. So, mangroves are nature, chest of food for women, including medicine, dye, materials for shelter, boat and lumber for furniture. Stand of nipa palm are established for roofing materials and row of bacao or rhizophora are planted for firewood and lumber. Extensive roots of mangroves remove silt and debris making the water clean. The mangroves are nature cleaner of the air as they use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and release oxygen. There are several examples of interaction that are anchored on feeding relationship. These are mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, competition, and cooperation. In any of the ecosystems we examine, these interactions occur but involve different species living things. Disturbances in ecosystem are either naturally or man-made occur. For example, typhoon may bring about landslide, floods, storm surge that disturb habitats and wipe out organisms. Forests were converted to agriculture uses limiting the habitat of the forest animal. Many species have been endangered because of human activities lag- logging, mining, hunting, and tourism. Many fish pond and coastal areas that were not protected by buffer zone of mangroves were destroyed by storm surges, and human population increased. In pots, pressure and resources from mangroves like over harvesting of fishery of forestry product. Man degrades and fills that edge of the mangroves to expand land and the mangrove swamp are gone. Roads and buildings for residential and commercial uses fill up in the area. In many cities, the estuaries received pollutants from oil leak and spill. Maintaining balance and sustainability is a major challenge in the ecosystem we have studied. While we have man-made ecosystem, farm, city, fish ponds, dams, seaport, it is a must that we have conservation practices. There are government laws, proclamation and regulation on the use, protection, conservation, and management of resources that the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the local government, and the community people have to work together for a proper implementation. It the Philippines Environment Code PD 1152 that began the crafting laws dedicated of environment. The LGUs have various ordinances, programs, and award for environment. Along coastal areas, you might pass by a sign that this particular barangay is a marine sanctuary. There are protected areas like and wildlife. People may involve the free farming for land and mangroves forest. They are also key players in integrated. So the LGUs have various ordinances, programs, and award for environment. Along coastal areas, you might pass by a sign that this particular barangay is a marine sanctuary. There are protected areas like parks and wildlife. People may involve in free farming for land and mangroves forest. They are also key players in integrated coastal resources management programs. Schools have various initiatives, war on waste, school in a garden, composting, tree planting, and landscaping, environmental quiz contest, Green School Award, intensify knowledge and improve practices for environmental protection. So that organizations at the local, national, and even international levels are in harmony in protecting our environment. It is suggested that each one should know about our laws to ensure successful implementation. The challenge is what have you done in your own way to help Mother Nature?